It's been a rocky few months for the Met Police, who faced allegations of corruption, the use of smear tactics and a failure to tackle racism. And there's now real pressure on them to win more trust from the communities they're supposed to be serving. For starters, many reckon the Met needs to recruit more ethnic minority officers to reflect the makeup of our capital. But its track record in this area leaves a lot to be desired, and to make real progress may require some bold political steps, as former Home Secretary Jackie Smith explains.
The capital is now a more diverse city than ever before, with 40% of Londoners coming from an ethnic minority. But the Metropolitan Police Force that serves the capital remains overwhelmingly and disproportionately white.
Back in 1999, the Macpherson report into the murder of Stephen Lawrence concluded that the Met was institutionally racist and recommended that 25% of their officers should come from ethnic minorities. But 14 years on, that figure still only stands at 1 in 10.
Successive Met Commissioners and Home Secretaries, including myself, have recognised and targeted the issue but failed to make enough progress.
It boils down to an issue of trust and confidence. People are more likely to report crime, to act as witnesses, to support the police if they think that the police officers actually reflect their communities.
Here in Hounslow, PC KARMI REKHI is holding a session at a Hindu temple, offering safety advice and explaining how the police can offer assistance.
We want to touch on making you aware of possible bogus callers. Sometimes when I'm with the Asian women's groups and I speak Punjabi fluently, albeit I was speaking a bit of Hindi today, they automatically seem to click with you because they feel you understand their cultural backgrounds and where they're coming from if they're trying to explain a problem. On your purse, young lady, so that it rattles when, you know, when somebody tries to take your purse, it rattles. And this might be the first instance that they're meeting a police officer. One, it gives them the confidence to speak to a police officer, and two, they go away knowing the simple things.
What do you think you can bring to policing that helps you to do the job?
It's inspiration for people, because if they see an Asian police officer, you're more likely to inspire maybe some of the younger girls as well. They're thinking, oh, she can do it, well, I'd like to do that.
And what do your family think about your role in the police?
My family say, when are you going to be at home, Mum? There you go.
The Met needs plenty more people like PC REKHI. But to be fair, the numbers of ethnic minority officers have been growing. From just 890 at the time of the Macpherson report 14 years ago to around 3,200 today. When Norwell Roberts joined the Met back in 1967, it was a very different picture. He was the only black police officer in the whole of Britain.
The first I knew I'd been accepted was when one of my mates showed me his newspaper, and it said London to have first coloured policeman soon, because coloured was the word that was used then. My beat was Covent Garden. There was a story going around, you know, that one of the porters apparently told one of the policemen who was taking me out on the beat, here's a couple of apples for yourself and a banana for your monkey. I was prepared to accept that sort of thing then, although perhaps not the racism that I encountered inside the police station. I had buttons ripped off my uniform. My uniform was thrown behind a locker where it was all dusty. I had my tyres slashed. I had my car towed away. I was obviously called a nigger on a regular basis, and that was only from the other policemen. But remember, this was 1967, so whoever was the first would have had a few problems. I'm glad that I was able to endure those problems and came out on the other side.
It must have been pretty tough to endure, though. Didn't you ever feel like, that's it, I've had enough, I'm leaving?
No, I never did. I just used to go back to the section house and cry.
Today's Met is a different place from the one Norwell joined, but still dogged by accusations of racism. From a failure to take complaints seriously to a disproportionate targeting of ethnic minorities in stop and search, and ongoing complaints about the handling of the Stephen Lawrence case. So what's the Met doing to build up trust?
We start the night off with drill and inspection, and then we roll on to lessons such as stop and search, theft act.
This volunteer police cadet scheme run by the Met tries to give teenagers an appreciation of police work. And plenty of the cadets are from ethnic minorities.
Just under 50% of our cadets come from black and minority ethnic backgrounds, which is wonderful. And I think probably it's partly because it's an opportunity to have a much softer relationship with the police. And obviously they get a lot of experience of what frontline policing is about.
I wanted to be a police officer for as long as I can remember, from when I was really little. We have guest speakers come in, like the armed police. We do a lot of first aids.
There seems to be plenty of enthusiasm for police work among these young cadets, and ethnic minorities are also well represented in the ranks of police community support officers, a role I developed as Home Secretary. But when it comes to police officers, many ethnic minority applicants just aren't getting through the recruitment process.
There are issues around like vetting and an area of the recruitment which we call search. BME candidates tend not to do so well around the comprehension, and this is due to the fact that sometimes English is not their first language. So whereas this individual may have a degree, the process itself does not reflect that. It's all well and good talking about getting bums on seats effectively, but it's about the retention of those officers once they're there. You can count on one hand the amount of inspectors and chief inspectors, superintendents that we have, which is not acceptable.
The Met's new recruitment drive is going to try and get to grips with some of these issues by giving greater weight to applicants' knowledge of the capital.
In the next 2 to 3 years, we will want to select 5,000 new constables for the Met. That sheer number means it's the first time we will go out to the wider population of London since 2008 in a recruitment campaign. We will be coaching people from black and minority ethnic backgrounds to prepare for some of the selection processes. But some of our other thinking is really about how do we tailor a recruitment process to ensure that we target London as our pool.
The Met seems serious about trying to make itself more representative, but what if this new recruitment drive doesn't succeed? Will more drastic action be needed?
I wouldn't rule anything out because we have not, as a service, succeeded in balancing our workforce with the communities we police.
A radical political solution certainly made a difference to the makeup of the Police Service of Northern Ireland. When it launched in 2001, it ran a 10-year recruitment programme known as 50-50. For every Protestant officer recruited, a Catholic officer had to be recruited too.
50-50 in Northern Ireland came in because only 8% of the Police Service of Northern Ireland was from a Catholic community, 92% from Protestant. It was without question successful. We achieved, just by the time I left, 30% of the police service was drawn from the Catholic community. That was a significant achievement, and we defended every legal challenge for the 7 years I was there.
Positive discrimination is always going to be controversial, but sometimes policy has to drive change. In 1997, I was elected to Parliament on the basis of being selected on an all-women shortlist. So far, that's the only thing that's actually managed to make Parliament more representative of men and women, for example.
Positive discrimination is currently illegal in the mainland UK, so to bring in a system like 50-50 to boost ethnic minority officers would require a change in the law. So is that the point the Met has now reached?
If the current plans don't succeed and our optimism doesn't bear fruit, ideas like that have to be part of the conversation. But as you know, moving it from a proposal to something that survives the rigours of Parliament is quite another issue.
The recruitment campaign recently launched by the Met is a prime opportunity to make sure that the policing really does represent communities across London. But if that doesn't work, if the Met isn't able to recruit and to retain and promote more ethnic minority police officers, then I think Met chiefs and government really do need to consider giving positive discrimination a go.